Hi, this is Wanderings with Adammichlaw. Today's topic is why sports are the most important thing in a man's life. So let me explain exactly what I mean, because a lot of people are going to say, sports, that's always just a hobby, that's something on the side. How could that possibly be so important in a person's life? What I'm talking about is playing sports and how important that is for a man. I recently got back into playing sports myself about 6 months ago. And I started playing into a football league. My son is very much into sports, and I had been playing baseball with him and throwing the football around for many years, and that sort of whetted my taste for getting into sports, playing again. But when I actually had the opportunity to play sports with some adult friends myself, it was a great opportunity for me, and I can say it was one of the best choices I ever made. I sometimes speak about the best choices I ever made as far as meaning and purpose in life growth. Working out and taking care of myself in that regard was definitely one of the biggest. But I can honestly say that playing sports has been one of the best decisions that I have made when I got back into it 6 months ago. And now I play at least once a week, and if not twice a week. So let me give you my story about myself as a child and my sports story, and then I'll tell you the 5 lessons that I learned and why sports are one of the most important things in a man's life. When I was a kid, I was definitely a dreamer. I was into all sorts of fantasy things, books and toys and playing and role-playing, imagining with my friends. And I did play baseball and I did play soccer. My mom pushed me into that, and I'm thankful that she did that, but I really had no desire to play. And I really wasn't that good. I was sort of a skinny kid, and I didn't really have a lot of parental involvement as far as actually practicing with me and encouraging me, though my mom did bring me to my games. Also, my friends, the friends I played with were also of a similar type. They weren't the jock types when I was a kid. They were the imaginative types. We played toys and games and, fantasy, all sorts of different stuff. That's what we did. I was a smart kid, and I was creative. I was artistic, but I wasn't an athlete. I had a lot of preconceived notions about sports because of what happened to me when I was a kid. I basically thought sports are only useful until age 18 unless you're going to become a pro athlete, which basically is extremely rare, and therefore they're basically useless, and this type of thing is basically useless. And I can say I was 100% wrong, completely wrong about sports. Because I wasn't good at sports when I was a kid, and I didn't try or have anyone to play sports with, I didn't want to play sports, and I wasn't happy, and therefore I grew up into an adult as someone who didn't really value sports so much. When I was in high school, I was friends with all the jocks and stuff like that. So they got me to play sports too, because that's what they were into. I never played on a team. I really wasn't that good. But I also have feelings of never getting the ball passed to me in basketball, or getting tackled really hard by a really good football player, or that type of thing. I was always cool enough to be friends with those type of kids, but I wasn't an athlete myself. So this further, cemented in my mind that sports aren't really important, because why would I like sports? Sports really never worked for me. It was never something for me. So as I became an adult, and now I'm, in my 40s, and I have a son who's really into sports, and he got me to start playing sports. I had an opportunity to play football, and I started playing football with some guys that I did not really know. And I don't know how I got myself to do it, but I think it was because I had been working out a lot, and my son was into sports. So I went out there, and I have to admit, I had a lot of fear when I played football with these guys for the first time. I had fear of not being good enough, of missing the ball, letting down the guys, and therefore not feeling as much of a man as I want. So when I went and played, I did miss the ball a few times the first couple of games. But what I thought I would do was I would go out there and try as hard as I could, run as hard as I could, push myself over and over and over again every time, so that at least they would see me as a good team member, and I would compliment other players, and I would take the blame when I needed to take the blame, and be quiet when somebody else messed up. And even though I didn't really have that great of a game my first couple games, nevertheless the guys saw that I really tried and pushed and ran hard. And I think I built their respect from that. Eventually, I actually started playing a lot, and I started catching the ball a lot, and I wanted to play, and I got better. And I really started becoming reliable, and I understood the football routes, the running routes, and catching the ball, and I caught the ball a lot more. I really made a lot less mistakes. So, and eventually I even had some very good games. I had a game where I caught three touchdowns, for instance, and that was great. It was a lot of joy. And I earned the respect of the guys, and I made a lot of great friends. So I can honestly say getting back into sports has been one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life. And I'm going to give the 5 reasons for why sports are so important right now. 1, as I spoke a little bit about there, the fear that I went in. So number 1 is conquering your fear. I like to teach the best way to conquer your fear is to walk right into it. It's like a soldier who's going into battle. He has to go. He has no choice. He's about to go into the front. And he's very afraid. His heart is beating. His mind is saying, turn around, this is crazy. Here's the bullets, here's the explosions. But nevertheless, he walks forward. The most important thing in life is that when we're afraid is to walk into the fear, just to go right in. Fear is normal. It doesn't make you not a man. As a matter of fact, what we call courage, heroism, bravery, is somebody who is not that they're not afraid, it's that they work to conquer their fear and they go in anyway. You're not less of a man for being afraid. You're less of a man for giving into your fear, but trying and pushing and doing, that's going to help you conquer your fear. And after I did that, I never had that fear ever again. I never felt that bad ever again if I messed up. Reason number 2, leadership and teamwork skills. Men, we are biologically, because of all the years that human beings grew up in war tribes and hunter-gatherers and hunting food and fighting others, we grew up to have teamwork and leadership skills. Men respect others who can show leadership, who have qualities, who can work together as a team to solve a problem. And it really is, I think sports really developed as sort of like an alternative thing to combat. A lot of the feelings of combat are really found in sports. And nowadays with all sorts of things like airsoft and paintball and Nerf, really you can kind of see that sports and warfare are sort of, they're very similar, to be honest with you. It is really a war. There's a psychological warfare going on against other guys. There's a teamwork and brotherhood that comes when you play sports with other guys. So leadership and teamwork are very important. And that's the second really good thing about playing sports. The third thing is sort of related to that, and that's about dominance hierarchies. I've noticed something very much, that when the kids play sports, the kids who don't participate, they're the ones who end up growing up with a lot of social problems. And it's usually because their fathers don't push them, or they don't come from a family with a father. Their father isn't involved in their life to push them. What I'm saying is that there's a dominance hierarchy. There's a dominance hierarchy that comes when you play sports. And you learn teamwork, and you learn leadership, and you gain the respect of other men. And that happens and that also is reason number 4 too, making friends. We make the best friends that we have when we do activities together as guys. And sports is great because we can celebrate each other's successes and laugh at the defeats and work together as a team. And those moments are what bond you. The guys that you work together, the guys that you do something with, that's how men bond. With all this garbage talk about this fake notion called toxic masculinity, when it's just talk about masculinity and how men don't express their feelings, I can tell you that it's not true. That when we're out doing an activity, spending time together, doing sports or doing a hobby or whatever, hiking, that's when stuff comes out, and men do express themselves. But it happens during the context of a sport, of an activity. That's how men make friends and how we earn respect among others, and that also gives a great sense of purpose and esteem. So number 5, of course, is obvious, and that's exercise. You're exercising and having fun without even thinking about it. I feel rocked after every one of my games. And this is really important to exercise, especially as we get older. To get healthier, it's good for our heart, good for our body, it's good for the way we look. And as I said, I don't like doing cardio, even though I lift weights. So sports has been a great way to get that cardio without having to just sit there and run mindlessly on a treadmill or something like that. It's a great way to just go and have all these other benefits and at the same time get really ripped and be in great shape. So my last point is, when it comes to parenting, we need to very much encourage our children to play sports. And I can say myself, there's no such thing as a child who can't do sports if the parent takes an interest in them and helps them. Like I said, I played sports as a kid, but I didn't care about it, and I didn't have anyone really to get into it with me. And therefore, I grew up with a low self-esteem regarding sports. And it was totally garbage. I learned that in my 40s, that it was garbage, that I wasn't a good athlete. It's just not true. It's just all about hard work and determination and having a team and having people around there who enjoy the same thing to do it with you. And it's so important for parents, especially because of the things I mentioned about number 2 through 4, leadership, dominance hierarchies, teamwork, making friends. This is how men respect each other. And these are qualities that are gonna benefit someone far past the age of age 18. That they're going to be able to associate and make friends and work as a team and assert their dominance when it comes to their specialty in their field. This is something that's so important throughout a man's life to achieve success. So that's my top 5 reasons, and that's my story, why I got back into sports. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I encourage you guys to go out there, be healthy, challenge yourself, walk into your fear. This is Adammichlaw with Wanderings. Thank you very much.